So let's answer this question. It's a multiple choice question for an accounting past paper, financial accounting. So which of the following is not an appropriation of profits of a company? What do we mean by appropriation of profits? Now, according to accounting, appropriation is the act of setting aside money for a specific purpose. And in this case, with the word appropriation here, when we say we are appropriating something, in accounting, it means we are setting money aside for a specific purpose. So if we are appropriating profits, it means we are setting aside the profits made for a specific purpose. So which one of these is not, it does not come as a result of setting aside profits? Let's look at proposed dividends. Of course, now when you're talking about proposed dividends, dividends are always as a result of they come from profits. Profits are set aside to, make dividends. So definitely this is an appropriation of profits. So that can't be the answer. Let's talk about transfer to reserves. Now, of course, when we are talking about reserves, we transfer to reserves, what we transfer to reserves are actually portions of profit. If we do not have profit, then there is nothing to transfer to the reserves. So it means that, this can't be the answer. And by the way, for reserves, we have two kinds. We have what we call capital reserves. We also have what we call revenue reserves. The revenue reserves are the reserves that come from, the operational activities of a business. And it is these kinds of reserves, it's, for example, what you hear we call retained earnings. That's a revenue reserve. Then we have capital reserves. Capital reserves here, these are profits that you make from, transactions that are capital in nature. For example, when you sell fixed assets and you get profits from selling the fixed assets, now that amount of profit you make, that profit is not coming from the daily operations of the business. So those are called capital reserves. Well, let's not go so deep into that, but you get what I mean. Reserves come from profits, and so if you do not have profits, there is no reserves. So this transfer to reserves is an appropriation of profits. That can't be the answer to this question. Then we have interest payable. Now, interest is money that you pay from, a loan. Let's say a business has borrowed money, you're supposed to pay back with interest. So the interest you pay, whether the business has made a profit or the business has made a loss, you must pay interest. So that means interest payable is not an appropriation of profit. In other words, for us to pay interest, we don't need to first have profits for us to be able to pay the interest. So this means that interest payable is not an appropriation of profit. In other words, for us to be able to pay this interest, we don't need to first have profits for us to be able to pay it. Whether we have made profits or not, we have to pay interest. So here the answer is C. Then, of course, taxation payable can't be because, well, taxation payable, first of all, taxes are charged on profit. If you make a profit, then there is tax to collect. If you've made a loss, there is no tax to collect. So from this, the answer is C. From what you can see, that all the other options, that is A, B, and D, all these other options, they depend on where a company has to first make a profit for them to be paid out. So meaning when there's no profit, no dividends will be paid, nothing will be transferred to reserves, and no taxes will be paid if you do not have a profit. But then for interest, whether you make profits or not, you must pay interest. So meaning interest is not an appropriation of profits. Yeah, so that's the answer. If in a partnership, the partners' capital accounts are to remain fixed, their respective profit shares must be, of course, their respective profit shares. Well, let's say the profit, if we are having a capital account, and then we have the partners' accounts, then we have current accounts. Like that. So meaning that if we are having a capital account here for maybe partner A, maybe when they contribute capital to the business, we are going to put it here. Now, if the capital account was not fixed, it would mean that in case the person made profit, the partner made profit, the profit would be would be credited on the capital account. But if the question is saying that if in a partnership the partner's capital accounts are to remain fixed, if they are to remain fixed, it means that the other transactions that may affect their partner's capital are supposed to take place in the current account. So kind of like you treat your current account as if it is another capital account. So what you would have done in the capital account, you do it here. So in this case, that if the capital accounts are to remain fixed, their respective profit shares must be, of course, the profit shares that increases the amount of capital in the business. The profit shares will be credited to their current accounts. So credited to their current accounts will be our answer here. Our answer is C. What is the correct procedure to follow when a creditor is to pay from petty cash? Now for this one, what is the correct procedure to follow from when a creditor is to pay from petty cash? Let me play this clip from a video that I made about petty cash book some time back. Just listen to my explanation. Then after the explanation, I'll come back and answer this question.
So now remaining here is we have not yet talked about the ledger column that is at the extreme end, the other side. Now, talking about the last column in the petty cash, which we're calling the ledger column, here is the thing. Now, for starters, we say that petty cash is used to clear off small expenses during the course of business transactions. Now, sometimes petty cash may be used to clear off an item that is not in the category of small expenses, or simply put, sometimes petty cash may be used to pay off items that do not exist in the general ledger, but in other ledgers. If this happens, we post that figure in the ledger column. Let me illustrate this. Let's say that a supplier was paid using petty cash. This means the supplier's account is not in the general ledger, but rather in the purchases ledger. When this happens, we put the supplier's figures in the ledger column. Now let's say Chinawa. Chinawa's account of 8,000 is in the purchases ledger, and it was settled using petty cash on the 28th. Here, we shall go ahead and fill in the details. So we shall say on 28th, the details, we say it's creditor Chinawa, voucher number 6, the amount is 8,000. And since this item is not an expense, but rather an item paid out of petty cash, which needs posting to the ledger that is not the general ledger, we go ahead and post the 8,000 in the ledger column. So after posting the 8,000 in the ledger column, we go ahead and complete the double entry by debiting the respective creditors in the purchases ledger. So we go ahead and credit it in the purchases ledger, that is creditor Chinawa's account, with 8,000. Of course, the other item affected is cash, and this is in petty cash book on page 1. So of course, after finishing the double entry in that other account, of course we shall come back to the folio column, and we shall say that actually that other account that is not in the general ledger is found in the purchases ledger on page 1, and that's why we go ahead and say PL page 1 right there. The rest of the details you already know.
We'll come back from that. So the question from that, what is the correct procedure to follow when a creditor is paid from petty cash? First of all, we are paying from petty cash. So because the transaction is affecting petty cash, so definitely you can't tell me that you're going to credit in the cash book when the money that was used was petty cash. So A is not correct. This is not acceptable. Of course, it's acceptable. It is possible. Well, we know that petty cash is meant for small expenses, but sometimes you can pay creditors or suppliers from petty cash. So B can't be correct. Then, of course, part D is also not correct. A separate creditors account should be opened up. I mean, the creditors account already exists. Well, the correct answer here is C. A petty cash voucher is raised and the payment is recorded in the petty cash book. And of course, according to the clip you've just watched from one of my previous videos, you know, after you record in the petty cash book, then the corresponding entry is made in the supplier's account or the creditor's account. So which of the following should be charged as an expense in the profit and loss account of a manufacturing firm? So now when it comes to a manufacturing firm, the expenses that we put in the profit and loss account are the kind of expenses we call indirect expenses. In other words, expenses that cannot be traced back to the product. This can include things like, salaries, any kind of costs that cannot be directly traced to the production of a product. Those are indirect expenses, and those are the ones that we put in the profit and loss account of a manufacturing firm. So in this question, they're telling us to know which of the following should be charged as an expense. Of course, here when you look at electricity costs, these are electricity costs, but they are for the office. So these electricity costs help, in running the office. Such costs cannot be directly attached to the production of the product, and so this makes it an indirect cost. And because it's an indirect cost, that is our answer already. So our answer here is A. I mean, if you go and look at direct raw materials, these are, like even the word says, are direct. Those are costs that can be attributed direct to the raw materials. Then we have work in progress. Work in progress, these are costs of work in progress that can be directly attached to the product that is being manufactured. Then the cost of transporting raw materials purchased, these costs can be traced back to the product itself that is being, manufactured. So these other three are called indirect costs, and they contribute to the cost of the product, and they are not put in the profit and loss in the expense account of a manufacturing firm. So the answer is A. Direct costs are defined as those which, so of course here we are still talking about manufacturing firms, are those which have been incurred during production. Well, it looks a bit closer to the truth. Let's look at the others. They are incurred in the factory. Costs that are incurred in the factory are called overhead costs, I think. Can be traced to an item being manufactured. This statement is more accurate. It describes it more accurately than are included in the factory overheads. No. So direct costs, as far as manufacturing accounts are concerned, they are costs that can be traced to an item being manufactured. So if a cost can be traced to the item being manufactured, that is a more accurate description of a direct cost. The answer is C.